Welcome into Between the Sheets with Dr. Samani Uman. Happy New Year, our first broadcast for 2026. And today we're talking about sleep as it relates to male performance. So, Doc, is that a thing? Does sleep really affect male performance, or is that something that maybe is overhyped a little bit?
No, David, it's not overhyped at all, because sleep is extremely important for some of the hormone production, which is important for male sexual performance. For example, testosterone and cortisol levels. Okay, so if you do have poor sleep, it's going to affect these hormone production, and naturally you're going to have a poor performance across the board, whether in terms of libido or fatigue, concentration, focus, confidence, strength, muscle power, etc. So you're going to have an influence on all of those concepts.
Okay, so you mentioned testosterone. What's the connection between a good night's sleep and testosterone?
So when you think about testosterone, when you look at from the synthesis aspect or production aspect, it's usually a majority of it's produced during sleep, and especially during deep sleep. Okay, so when you're looking for or testing for testosterone level, the peak level is usually after a good night's sleep. So that's why some of the hormone testing is done between 7 and 10 a.m. in the morning, first thing in the morning, because that's going to be a true reflection of your nighttime production. So that's why if you're going to only sleep for like 6 hours or lesser, and if it's a chronic issue, overall you're going to have a decrease in the production of those hormones, right? And naturally it has its own influence on the body and performance of, in male. So that's how you connect.
Okay, so then a poor night's sleep can actually
decrease,
actually affect that, and also how would it connect with maybe ED, erectile dysfunction?
Sleep deprivation can keep the nervous system in a fight-flight response. So if that is the case, it's very hard for a man to relax, be present, and perform, right? And so if a person keeps leaning on that, and every single time, or more than not, if they blame performance anxiety as the problem for poor performance, then it's extremely important to look into sleep issues as well and rule them out.
All right, let's talk about snoring just for a minute. So my father had his best friend. His son was my best friend in high school, and we used to spend a lot of time at his house. His father would go to sleep in the easy chair, and I would swear he was dying. I mean, I'm talking about, not like, I'm talking about, and he would do that for 3, 4, however long he napped in his easy chair, he did that. There's varying degrees of snoring, but how much should men actually be worried about snoring? Because I worried about him even as a teenager, and that was in 1970 and something.
Mm-hmm. Yes, snoring is not normal. Let's start there. So snoring basically means there is some obstruction to the airflow. So somebody who snores can be at a higher risk for having sleep apnea. Okay, so you did a classical description of those apneic events actually in sleep. And not everybody has to experience that, and majority of the time they don't even know they're doing that. They can sleep through all that. And so if somebody snores, and if they have, let's say, medical problems like arrhythmia issues or plaque buildup in their blood vessel, heart failure or a stroke, sleep apnea is something that needs to be ruled out.
We had fun. We would joke that we would race to get to bed before this guy when we were at our hunting camp, because you didn't get to sleep before he did. You didn't get to sleep because he was literally dying in his bunk every night, all night long. And it took him I've never seen anybody that could be snoring that hard, that fast. I mean, he could be, hey, I'm going to bed, and like 3 minutes later, he's rattling the doors, and we would joke about it, but it could be a sign of something serious.
Yes, absolutely. So you're actually describing a classical feature of apneic events, right? So when we talk about snoring is not normal. Let's start there. It basically says there's some obstruction to the airflow. So people who snore are at a higher risk of having sleep apnea. So those are your breathing pauses. So every time those breathing pauses happen, you're dropping your oxygen saturation for those breathing pauses. And it's really affecting your entire body. right? So that's why you see higher incidence of cardiovascular events, whether it is arrhythmia or heart failure, heart attack, then you can have stroke, diabetes. I mean, it has an extensive association with a lot of medical comorbidities. Not only that, it can also affect male sexual performance.
Okay, now if you're snoring to that effect, are you really getting a good night's sleep?
The partner who is sharing the bed is definitely not sleeping, right? And that is one of the most common complaint or a driving force for a person to come and see a sleep physician. So they will say, Doc, I'm sleeping okay, but my wife is not sleeping. And now we are forced to sleep in separate bedrooms. And it's something common that I always hear. And so that could be one of the driving force, even if the patient is truly not talking about any kind of or have any medical comorbidities or anything.
Yeah, I don't snore. I've been told I snore a little bit, but not bad. But what I do know is that if I don't get a good night's sleep, I'll wake up the next day irritable, maybe just emotionally flat. Why is that?
Because your whole energy molecule is restored during sleep. It's like hunger. If you don't eat, you're going to be irritable, right? Because of low glucose. It's the same thing with sleep. Sleep is actually a state where our body is recuperating and rejuvenating. And so if you take that away, you don't have that much energy to move forward, for the next day. So every aspect of your daily functioning gets affected, whether it's your mood or whether it's your concentration, meaning focus. If you have a baseline mental disorder, it's all made worse, and it affects every aspect of your daily functioning.
Interesting. All right, we're going to take another quick break. We'll be back with Dr. Uman on Between the Sheets right after.
Experience snoring, trouble sleeping, daytime exhaustion, all of these could be signs of a sleep disorder. Dr. Samini Uman is bringing her sleep medicine practice to Middle Tennessee, offering both in-clinic and online appointments with proven results. Online appointments with no waiting room. Home and in-lab sleep studies through a partnership with Williamson Med Center. Certain insurance and self-pay welcome. Visit oursleepdoc.com. Your path to better sleep starts here.
Welcome back. I guess you got a good look at our buddy Ed. Ed, we've been talking about Ed a little bit today. He doesn't really know it. He's the guy that moves into your neighborhood for men of a certain age. He moves into every neighborhood, and if you can see from that picture, he knows pretty much everybody at the parties. But so how can sleep apnea affect ED? So we're just going to kind of get back into it.
So when you talk about sleep apnea, for all those, as I described before, right, for every breathing pause, you can basically drop your oxygen saturation. So we use the term hypoxemia for that. So if you can imagine when you're tracing the oxygen saturation, it's fluctuating back and forth. So we call that as intermittent hypoxemia. It's literally you're teasing your body, giving oxygen and taking it away, right? So it does impact how, the integrity of the penile tissue, for example. It does affect the smooth muscle integrity. And it also suppresses testosterone secretion or synthesis. So you can see if that goes low, then your performance get affected. So there is this triangular connection between sleep apnea, and the testosterone.
Everything affects everything.
Everything affects everything, exactly. And so treating sleep apnea, it should be sought after when you're looking into ED as well. So that's something that, sometimes we don't talk about. So one of the things that I see is many of the men who come to see me in my practice, they do have ED as one of their medical problems. And the first thing that they are going to naturally look into is the level of testosterone, right? But the other thing that we need to also talk to them is sleep apnea.
Okay, so...
And so when we start to treat, research has shown that when you start to treat sleep apnea, actually there is improvement in the ED.
So how much good sleep should men be getting in that?
So the recommendation is about 7 to 8 hours of sleep is what is recommended.
Is it the same for women or is it different?
It's the same.
Okay.
Men and women, we have to get about 7 to 8 hours sleep. But, having said that, some people could be a short sleeper and they can function well, and some would be long sleepers. It's just the way they are.
What's the biggest misconception about sleep and performance?
That there is no correlation.
But there is.
But there is
because you
correlation,
basically
every
laid it
aspect,
out.
But if you take sleep apnea as one of the sleep disorders, yes, it has its direct influence. If you take insomnia and then an increase in cortisol level because of, all the stress and everything, that can affect the testosterone level or the erection itself. And so any type of sleep disorder that you take, there's some form of correlation with performance, yes.
So we've talked about sleep, we've talked about testosterone, we've talked about performance, we've talked about ED, and you've tied it all together nicely. What's the one thing people should take away from today's discussion? If they had to, if you wanted them to, the one thing you'd want them to get out of today's discussion.
So one thing that I would like you all to know is when you look at erectile dysfunction, the problem, I want you also to look into sleep disorders as well, because that is not talked about. That is not usually the go-to when we talk about, right? When you go to a primary provider, we want the PCPs to also look into that as one of the medical problems that could be associated directly with ED.
And that's no fault of them. I mean, typically urologists don't practice
No,
sleep.
usually
That's
they.
not something. I mean, you
No,
go
they
to
go to-
urologist for ED.
Well, you can also they also go to primary provider because if somebody goes with new onset hypertension, I've started to see a change in the trend where the first thing that they're trying to see is rule out sleep apnea. It comes automatically, just like if they have stroke or arrhythmia, it just comes automatically. The same way I feel that if somebody goes for issues with because of ED, I think they should look into sleep apnea as well. That'll be my recommendation. Yeah.
Okay, well, great. So if you would like to consult personally with Dr. Uman, you can go to one of her websites, umamd.com. You can click on anything. There's a page for sexual health. There's a page for sleep medicine. You click either one of those, set up a consultation, either via teleconference or come into the clinic. And if you'd like to talk about any of this, that she's perfectly willing and able to do that. In this day and age, a lot of people have heard about sleep labs, sleep apnea, the CPAP mask, and that kind of thing. But one of the other things we were talking about today is ED, and you actually have a device here at the clinic that will treat towards that.
Oh yes. So anybody with it doesn't treat every type of ED. If somebody has a mental health issue and they're just not able to perform, that's a completely different deal. I mean, this machine is not going to fix it. But this is for people who have vascular flow problem. Okay. And this is a device done by InMode. It's called as Apex RF. It's a radio frequency device. So what we are trying to do is heat the tissue, warm it to a certain degree. And this basically allows for neoangiogenesis, meaning it increases or brings about new blood vessel formation, right? So it improves the health of the tissue as well. And so we start to see even after like the first treatment when we see an improvement in their performance. And so it's not, you don't have to wait till the problem gets really severe. If you start to notice, your performance, right? When you start to decrease in your performance even subtly, I think you should look into treating it. And I would be glad to have a consultation with you and basically explain how the process works. And it's very, very simple. We don't have to numb the tissue, and it's pretty safe, and it takes about probably 30 minutes to do the procedure. And you'll need several sessions, probably about 4 sessions at the minimum to maybe 6 sessions, and probably a maintenance once a year or so, and that's about it. It's pretty easy to do, and you're going to really love the benefit of it. So if you're someone who's not responding totally to just medication or even injectables, I think this will be a nice non-invasive way to treat ED.
Or especially if you don't like injectables or the ED meds that are out there, there's a lot.
The other thing is you have to be ready. Your partner should also be ready when you're going in that route, right? So it's not like you can inject, and by the time you do all this stuff, if your partner loses, interest, I mean, it's down the drain
This
right there,
actually
right?
improves
So,
the condition.
Exactly.
that-
I mean,
that you're having.
yeah, you can be ready anytime, let's say.
You know, you mentioned something about it. It comes on gradually. It does. It's not like you wake up one day and you just can't do anything. It's very subtle. It's you know, and I've had discussions with some of your clients about the fact that you really didn't notice it until we started talking about it. And, oh, well, yeah, you know, I actually,
Somebody
that's
correlate,
the
yeah.
subtlety of what it is. And it's not an affliction. It's not a disease. It's just a
The
course
aging
of life.
process, yeah, it's like an
part of the
aging process. So you want to be ahead of the, in the game before it gets pretty severe.
So if you'd like to schedule a consult with Dr. Uman, you can go to umamd.com. I'll put it there on the screen for you. umamd.com. You can click on sleep medicine. You can click on sexual wellness, some of the other great programs you have going on here. But book yourself a consultation and come in and see them. We can do them online.
Yeah, we
in
can do
clinic.
tele as well.
Oh,
yeah, if
tele.
you don't want to come into the clinic and just want to hear about it,
Yeah,
yes,
if you just
I'll be happy to do
talk about it,
tele appointment.
set it up.
Yeah.
We'll take care of it.
We also have care credit, so if you want to, make use of that, you can
Yeah.
make use of that as well.
So we have an event coming up in February for the ladies. We'll do one for the men at
Yeah,
some
absolutely,
point.
we
But
should,
we're going to go
yeah.
with the ladies first because we're in the South and that's what you do here. February 3rd, here in the clinic, 5226 Main Street in Spring Hill, 5:30 to 7:30. The InMode reps will be here. There will be people in speaking about the procedures that are available for women with the different things that they're facing. Go check out last week's podcast. You'll see what we're talking about. It's going to be a really cool evening. We're
Yes.
going to have testimonials. We're going to have giveaways. You'll be able to. Somebody's going to go home with $500 off a treatment package. Somebody's going to go home with a complimentary series of three
Free.
for one of the Empower treatments. Anybody that purchases a specially priced package that evening is going to get 20 units of neurotoxin, and we'll have discounts on products and some other things. Go on the website and check it out. There's a link on the website, umamd.com. And you'll see it in the scroll there on the very top of the website. And get you to the Eventbrite site so you can RSVP. It's free to everybody. We just want to get a head count so we have enough refreshments.
Oh, absolutely. And, this is a great time for all the women to just know how impactful these treatments are. It's going to be so liberating for you. We just need an hour of your time. Just drop by, come and see us and see what we are talking about and listen to those testimonials. So this is going to be a life-changing for you.
Yeah, it's going to be an open floor discussion, but if you'd like some one-on-one time with Dr. Minnie that evening, we can work at that too. So until next time, we'll see you from between the sheets. Have a great night.
Thank you. Bye.